Let's talk about mammographies. Mammographies, in your opinion, is dangerous. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's not my opinion. I mean, I also share that opinion, but this is hard science. The Danish government was interested in providing their women everything that the Swedes and Norwegians had, mammograms, because these studies had claimed a dramatic increase in saving women's lives and that they weren't dying of breast cancer. So they commissioned the Nordic Cochrane Center, which is the premier medical statistic analysis group in the world. I mean, nobody else even comes close. You want hard numbers, you want to know if a study was valid, you ask the Nordic Cochrane Center to look at it. And so they asked them to look at it. What they came back with was the studies that were used to say that mammograms work were statistical lies. For instance, if a woman died of breast cancer during the study, she wasn't counted because she didn't finish the study. Mm-hmm. Groups of women were counted twice over here and not counted at all over here. So the whole thing was chicanery, deception, and a lie, how they said that mammograms were saving lives. The Danish government would not publish what they really said, and so the next year they published it in Lancet, the most prestigious medical journal in the world. So in 2000, the Nordic Cochrane Center published their findings on mammograms, and that was that mammographic screening was unjustified, and that women who got mammographic screening died 4% more often than women that didn't. So mammograms cause cancer, mammograms cause women to die early. Now that was just from the women that were dying in the study. That didn't include all the fear and angst that they produced by false positives, because for women under 50, mammograms are only 50% sensitive. That means that half of all cancers that are there, that exist, it won't even pick up. And then of what it says is positive, about 90% of those don't have cancer. So it's a terrible, terrible test that we should not be using, that has been foisted upon us because it funnels women into, if they get enough mammograms, they will eventually become a cancer patient. Mm-hmm. So it's a great money funnel for the medical centers. They get that woman, they capture her, they'll have false positives, and they get to give more mammograms, which is going to increase the probability of breast cancer. And then they're doing the biopsies. And then after they give them cancer, or first, they'll treat them and make more money. Or they will get DCIS, which is not cancer, but it has the word cancer in it, ductal carcinoma in situ, and they will let the woman believe that that's cancer when it's not. And so then they'll recommend amputating their breast and give them chemo and radiation, causing damage to them psychologically, emotionally, physically, and shortening their lives by 8 to 10 years because they had this surgery, they had this chemo, they had this radiation, which all causes cancer. Mm-hmm. So they might get rib cancer or tissue cancer or lung cancer or congestive heart failure, but they didn't die of breast cancer. So it's just all statistical lies. Mammograms cause breast cancer, period.
Okay.
You understand how I feel about that?
Yeah, Sal? Absolutely. I feel the same way. Also, mammograms, if a woman has dense breasts, it shows up white on the x-ray. And the cancer shows up white also, I believe, what I've seen on the mammogram. So between the white and the white, it's hard to see where the cancer is. If there's cancer there.
That's why they have to use more radiation in a younger woman's breast, a denser breast. and so it's even worse. So we just had some changes back almost 10 years ago now. The U.S. Preventative Task Force, no, I think that was 2007. The U.S. Preventative Task Force recommended that women below 50 not get mammograms at all. And then I think we just had a movement last week by American Cancer Society or one of those alphabet soup groups that recommended that instead of 40, they moved it up to 45. But the truth is, women shouldn't be doing this at all. They should be doing thermograms and ultrasounds. Between a thermogram and an ultrasound, you can get better than 95% sensitivity, as opposed like 50% sensitivity in women under 50 for mammograms. So thermography, now, I love the truth and the lie. They'll say, early detection saves lives. Truth, get your mammogram today. Lie, because mammograms are not early detection. So you have to have a test that is early detection to save a life. And early detection for breast screening is called thermography. Nothing else detects it early. You know, people don't understand cancer. You talk about a 1 centimeter tumor. 1 centimeter, that's 5/16 of an inch, tiny. That's about 1 billion cells. 1 billion cells, that's a lot of cells. So by the time it's found, you've got 1 billion cells, and you've already got circulating tumor cells. It's already metastasis. And that's one of the many reasons that mammograms don't save lives. It's not that it didn't save somebody's life over here, but for every one person's life that it saved, it probably caused another 20 cancers, and 15 of those died. I'm not saying that it's never saved a woman's life, but for every woman's life that it's saved, it's probably killed 15 women. So it's a terrible test that should not be being done.
Right. Now, the thermography, what I understand, which hopefully I'm going to have somebody on the show to talk more about it, that does it, that does it, you know, that actually takes the pictures, how they do it.
It's Dr. Galina Migalko. I can introduce you to her.
Well, what I have heard is that the cancer needs a blood supply, and that's what the thermography does. It sees, I don't think it sees the tumor, but it sees the blood supply in the breast. Then I think the second protocol after that would be not a scan, but you just mentioned it before.
Ultrasound.
An ultrasound, right. So is that the way that works?
That's the correct way to do it. Now, if a woman walks in to her doctor and asks for an ultrasound, they'll say, oh, you have to get a mammogram first. And that woman needs to get in their face and say, where does it say that in my medical insurance plan that I have to get a mammogram first?
Right.
Where does it say that in the state law? Are you denying me my medical benefits? I mean, you just have to get in their face, because they're going to try to shove you through their funnel to make you get the mammogram. No place is it written that you have to get a mammogram first, but they're going to try to force you into that paradigm. But a thermogram is the proper thing, followed by an ultrasound. So those two will give you better than 95% sensitivity.